Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my most humble obeisances. Actually, I'm very happy to take part in this closing ceremony because I see how inspired you are after having studied some parts of Srimad Bhagavatam under the guidance of such wonderful teachers. And like for me, it was a challenge because as I said in the very beginning, I very rarely speak, teach in English, and it's difficult for me. But somehow I did it. And then when I finished that course, I just remembered a few parts of Srimad Bhagavatam Chaitanya Charitamrita. I just wanted to share with you. Actually, I was in the Bhaktivedanta ashram on the Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day, and I've heard about glorification of Srila Prabhupada by such wonderful devotees. Dandara Maharaj was there, Sachinandan Maharaj, then Burijana Prabhu. So I just, and Sachinandan Maharaj was speaking about the closing words of Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, written by Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami. And I was very inspired to see what is there. And I was actually amazed how Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami speaks about his income, like his contribution in that work. He, in the very last chapter of the Antya Lila, in the 20th chapter, he summarizes all chapters, whatever he spoke about Lord Chaitanya one more time. And then he says, this is Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Lila, 20th chapter, starting from verse 148. He says, my inexperienced words do not know how to dance by themselves. The mercy of the Guru made them dance as much as possible. And now, after dancing, they have taken rest. Wow. So he says that he was speaking only by the mercy of his spiritual master. And then he says, actually, this is amazing. You can see the humility of real Vaishnavas. He says, I now worship the lotus feet of all my readers, for by the mercy of their lotus feet, there is all good fortune. If one hears the pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as described in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, I wash his lotus feet and drink the water. I decorate my head with the dust of the lotus feet of my audience. Now you have all drunk this nectar, and therefore my labor is successful. Just few words, you see, this is the humility of the Vaishnava. This is the humility of Srila Prabhupada when he was trying to preach to all the hippies or all these strange people in the West. But he was trying to find anybody who is eager, ready to hear from him. And then he was worshipping them, he was cooking for them, he was ready to do everything just to inspire them to continue hearing what he had to say to them. So this is the mentality of the genuine speaker. And I was thinking that it's wonderful. It's not that usually we worship the spiritual master for what he is given to him, but spiritual master, he worships the lotus feet of his disciples for their eagerness to hear from him. You see, it's vice versa. And then one more verse, one more part of the Srimad Bhagavatam is also it's 10th canto, 18th chapter, verse 40, 41, and 42, when Sandipani Muni, he speaks to Krishna and Sudama. You know the story that they went to the forest during the storm, heavy rain, and then their spiritual master was very much worried. Is everything okay with them? And he went to look for them, and then he found them, and then he saw that they are completely wet from the rain, but they were trying to keep the firewood dry, because it was their service to the spiritual master. And then he says, Ahom me putraka yuyam asmatarthe chidukitaha atmavai praninam prishthas tam anadrityamat paraha. Sanjipani Muni said, "O my children, you have suffered so much for my sake. The body is most dear to every living creature, but you are so dedicated to me that you completely disregarded your own comfort." And I can see that while studying in the Bhakti-vaibhava, you have to go through so many difficulties. It's not easy. I myself, when I was studying, it was very, very difficult. And I can understand how much you suffered, but you did it for the sake of your teachers, for the sake of your spiritual master, for the sake of acquiring proper knowledge how to serve Krishna properly. And then Sanjipani Muni says in the 41st verse, "Etat tevahi sat shishyaih kartavyam gurunishkritam yet tvai vishuddha bhavena sarvadha tmarpanam gurau." This indeed is the duty of all true disciples, to repay the debt to their spiritual master by offering him with pure hearts their wealth and even their own very lives. So this is the sacrifice which you make in order to praise your teachers, your spiritual master. And Krishna will definitely, while seeing that, he will repay you. He will reward you with something very, very wonderful. And then Krishna says, and Sanjipani Muni, he says, and this is actually a very, very important verse and part of the commentary of Srila Prabhupada, which I think would be relevant for you. He says, "Tushto ham bhod vijashishtah satyah santu manoradhaha chandams ayatayamani bhavant iha paratracha." You boys are first-class Brahmanas, and I am satisfied with you. May all your desires be fulfilled, and may the Vedic mantras you have learned never lose their meaning for you in this world or the next. And he speaks about the Vedic mantras, but actually what we have studied Shrimad Bhagavatam, which is the Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalam, which is the ripened fruit of all the Vedic knowledge, all the Vedic mantras. Is the Shrimad Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam, is the Nama Purana, it's full of the holy names, of qualities, pastimes of the Supreme Lord. So what can be better than Shrimad Bhagavatam? And you have learned Shrimad Bhagavatam. And then in the purport, very, very interesting things. Cooked food left sitting for 3 hours is called yatayama, indicating that it has lost its taste. And similarly, if a devotee does not remain fixed in Krishna consciousness, the transcendental knowledge that once inspired him on the spiritual path will lose its taste, in parentheses, or meaning for him. Thus, Sanjipani Muni blesses his disciples that the Vedic mantras, which reveal the absolute truth, will never lose their meaning for them, but will remain ever fresh in their minds. So, very important knowledge that you have studied Shrimad Bhagavatam, you are inspired right now, you feel taste for Shrimad Bhagavatam. But if you stop continuing practicing Krishna consciousness, praying for Krishna, trying to understand who is Him, why He is worthy of our worship, our love, that will become yatayama, which means that the taste will go away. So that's why please stay in the fire of Krishna consciousness, in the fire of inquiries about the absolute truth, about Krishna, learning from Shrimad Bhagavatam. And then how to do that? One more verse just to entice you, because you are going to study Shrimad Bhagavatam 4th canto, and this is the verse from the Prithu Maharaja Charita. It speaks about how Prithu Maharaj, he was very much grateful to the 4 Kumaras for what they have given to him. And he says, this is 4th canto, 22nd chapter, 47 verse. Yar idrishi bhagavato gatiratmavada ekantato nigamibhi pratipadyatanaha dushantvada prakurunak svakritena nityam ko nama tat pratikaroti vinodapatram. Prithu Maharaj continued, how can such persons who have rendered unlimited service by explaining the path of self-realization in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and whose explanations are given for our enlightenment, how such persons will, with complete conviction and Vedic evidence, how can they be repaid except by folded palms containing water for their satisfaction? Such great personalities can be satisfied only by their own activities, which are distributed amongst human society out of their unlimited mercy. So all your great teachers, they have given you such important knowledge, so many important realizations. So this is the debt you will never be able to repay. But it is said that Tushans adapra koruna svakritena nityam. Prithu Maharaj, he says that if you try to pay for that knowledge, they will feel offended. If you try to do anything material to repay that knowledge, they will never accept it. But konamatat pratikaroti vinoda patram. Vina uda patra. Udaka means the water and patra means in the palms. And you have seen maybe how during the Yamuna Puja or Ganga Puja, they take water from Yamuna or Ganga and then they put it back to Ganga and Yamuna with prayers, with mantras. So in the same way, you have received this knowledge, and the only way how to try to repay your debt is to continue following the instructions you have received, and also trying to preach, to speak to others, to share your knowledge and realizations. And then, if you do that, the taste which you have got, acquired during this study of Srimad Bhagavatam in the Bhakti-vaibhava will always remain with you. As Sanjipani Muni says that all the knowledge, all the mantras will always stay with you, and you will always be able to apply them in practical situations in your own devotional life. So this is the kind of bracelets you can get from the study of Bhakti-vaibhava, and I'm very grateful to you for your kind attention. I'm not a great scholar, as Advaita Krishna Prabhu he says. I'm just the beginners in the study of devotional service. So if anything good happened during this teaching of Shitattva Sandarbha, is only by the mercy of my spiritual master and my superiors. And I'm very, very grateful to Prashanta Mataji for organizing such an important courses in Vrindavan, in the VIHE. I remember one time Gopiranhana Prabhu, I studied under him. He went to Vrindavan in 1996, and Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, he told him, just stay in Vrindavan and speak Srimad Bhagavatam. And he told, why I want to preach, I want to go. And he told him, actually, if you stay in Vrindavan and speak Srimad Bhagavatam, that will influence all ISKCON society and the whole world also. So this is a very, very important mission you have in the VIHE, to give Krishna consciousness not only to the ISKCON devotees, but actually to influence the whole world with the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. So thank you very much for having this institution and having invited me to speak my little realizations in the devotional service. Hare Krishna.